What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Paul Talks Patriots. It was another toll in the loss column for New England on Sunday, but a lot of promising stuff. Let's talk. Well, for starters, the Patriots made some roster moves over the past couple of days. First, releasing cornerback Marco Wilson. This was to make room for cornerback Alex Austin coming back from the injured reserve. Wilson didn't really do too well for us, and Austin is more of a provider on the defense. So the move made sense, but Wilson really struggled against the Rams. Got some decent playing time throughout the season, but not much against the Rams. But when he was on the field, was a liability. In just 9 snaps that included 5 pass plays, Wilson was targeted his way 3 times. He allowed 3 catches and 58 yards. So an upgrade there at least. Wilson spent about a year with the team. We claimed him last year off the Cardinals and had some good moments at the end of last year, flashed a little bit, got a chance to prove himself this year, and just really was not successful when on the field. So best of luck to Wilson. We get back Alex Austin, and our cornerback room should see a little bit of improvement with Austin. In other news, we signed linebacker Titus Leo off the Colts practice squad. Leo was a 2023 6th-round draft pick out of Wagner. He spent 5 seasons there. And in a move to make room for Leo, we released Ocean Mathis, more of a special teams guy. Never really saw the field too much. So we'll see if they can get something out of Titus Leo. Obviously, Gerard Mayo or DeMarcus Covington saw something in Leo, or maybe he'll contribute on special teams. Who knows? But keep an eye out for Titus Leo. We'll see if he can contribute to our defense. Now, diving into the game. Patriots took a 28-22 loss to the Rams, and it's been a very controversial game for a couple reasons we will get into. But first off, I wanted to start with Drake Maye. He looked like he improved. Again, it seems like week to week he's getting a lot better. He finished 30 for 40 on his passes for 282 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 turnovers. One being the fumble on the strip sack, and the other being that controversial interception at the end of the game that was intended to go to Pop Douglas. Mark Sanchez on the broadcast had high praise for Drake Maye. The local media has had outstanding praise also, especially you see people that are usually negative speaking positively of Drake Maye, which is a great sign. And is he perfect? No, but there's a lot of good and not a lot of bad to talk about with Maye. It's been great so far, been refreshing after going through years of Cam Newton and Mac Jones, finally having a solid option at quarterback. After this game, I'm fully on the draft a wide receiver in the first round wave. The wide receivers played poorly again. Kayshon Boutte had 2 bad drops. He's your ex-receiver, so he's supposed to make big plays for you, and he was wide open. The passes weren't awful from Drake Maye. Were they perfect? No, but should he have caught them? Yes. So that was tough to see. Polk found another way to screw up. It's honestly impressive at this point how many different ways he's found to screw up this year. Had the false start on what was looking like a trick play, albeit it would have been a delay of game penalty probably. There was only 1 second left on the clock when Polk false started. So maybe he knew that and that's why he jumped off sides, or someone fake snap or called for the snap and he jumped. I'm not sure, but either way, Polk making another bad mistake. That play would have been cool to see, and Gerard Mayo was very confident it was going to be a touchdown. So I guess we'll never know. But Polk screwed up again. Demario Douglas on that Drake Maye interception. I got to give him some of the blame. It's been very controversial this whole week whose fault it was. I'm not going to place it fully on Drake Maye, and I'm not going to place it fully on Demario Douglas. But Douglas, your receiver, or your job as a receiver is to look and catch the ball. So he wasn't looking clearly, wanted to extend his route further downfield where there was open field, but there was an open slot where Drake Maye threw the ball. I don't know if it was going to get caught, but I'm expecting that Demario Douglas would have at least tipped the ball or hit it with his hands and deflected it, and maybe it's not an interception. Who knows if it's a catch or what happens, but Demario Douglas gets some of the blame there. Other than that, decent game for Douglas, but Kendrick Bourne had a really good game again after not playing last week and having a really good game the week before that against the Titans. He showed up on Sunday, had 5 catches for 70 yards and a touchdown, and proved to be very reliable for Drake Maye, along with Hunter Henry and Austin Hooper, who have been the most reliable receivers on the team the whole year. Now, what about the rest of the offense? Well, the offensive line, the run game was stagnant for another week, and it wasn't a lot of bad play or multiple people screwing up on every play. It was usually, from what I saw, one person screwing up and 4 other guys doing really well. And when that happens, it doesn't matter if 4 guys do really well. One guy can screw it up for the whole offense, which happened several plays. Stevenson did have 2 rushes of 10-plus yards, but 19 out of 22 from my eyeball test were yards after contact. Now, it wasn't like he broke tackles, but he was getting hit by arms and hands and stuff, and it does throw him off. He's not running straight through a hole. He's got to be wary of where pressure is coming from. So, Ramondre in the game averaged 3.7 yards per carry, and that's his 5th week in a row averaging under 4 yards per carry, and has only averaged more than that twice. And that was the first week in Cincinnati and week 5 against Miami. So Ramondre, it's not his fault that he's not putting up great numbers. It's the offensive lines for the most part. Ramondre remains to be our second best player on offense behind Drake Maye. Other than that, the offensive line didn't let up too many sacks, but Drake Maye was getting the ball out fast. He was pressured on 47.8% of dropbacks. That's horrendous. That's got to change. And then you have his fumble, which, again, you got to blame on Drake Maye. He should hold on to the ball, but he had under 2 seconds to throw that ball and got absolutely crushed on that play because the Rams ran a stunt and the Patriots couldn't pick it up. So, bad by both parties. But more specifically on Maye, he has been really good when pressured, which makes sense because the pressure rates that the offensive line is giving up is still high, but Maye has been producing numbers. When pressured against the Rams, he was 11 for 18 for 96 yards, a touchdown, and that final interception to Douglas. Another thing I saw with Maye that has been improvement from previous games was he was keeping his head up. When moving up in the pocket, usually he just commits to start scrambling, and there will be receivers open in front of him, but he doesn't see them because his eyes aren't locked in downfield still. They're locked in right in front of him, focused on running. Well, I saw him against the Rams step up in the pocket, and there would be space to scramble, but he would keep his eyes downfield and make a couple of really good throws stepping up in the pocket. And again, I said it earlier, but we're seeing week-to-week improvement, and that's a testament to Alex Van Pelt. I said it last week, I'll say it again. The guy is not good at calling offensive plays, but the quarterback development is there, and you can't deny that. And you can give credit to T.C. McCartney, but Alex Van Pelt was known for helping with quarterback development before, and you're seeing it again here. So the history is there to back up and prove that Alex Van Pelt is probably mostly responsible for this. And hopefully we see more, but we'll, on the other side of the ball is where our problems were this week. Robert Covington and Gerard Mayo, I put them together because Gerard Mayo claims to have no say in the offense, so he's got to be helping with the defense considering he played middle linebacker for, 10 years for the Patriots. It was a poor scheme, which was criticized heavily after the game. Christian Gonzalez was on Demarcus Robinson for most of the game, their wide receiver 3, who I said would cause problems, but not big enough problems where you have to put your best cornerback on him. The Rams had the ball for 22 minutes and 40 seconds. That is 37.8% of the game. It's the least amount of time for an opponent against the Patriots this year. So there's two things there. Alex Van Pelt was wasting clock. We did string together some nice offensive drives. I will give it to him. He did do better with the play calling this week. Like I just said, still not that good at it, but that contributes to it. We had 5 possessions of 9+ plays. That wastes a lot of clock, and in return, obviously, the Rams were not able to have the ball for that long. But also, the defense was letting up scores very quickly. Mainly that one play to Cooper Kupp that happened on the second play of the drive. They scored basically immediately on that zero blitz and had no safeties there to help out. Terrible play call that didn't work out. But Stafford finished 18 for 27 with 295 yards and 4 touchdown passes, again, in just under 23 minutes of possession. Puka Nacua, 7 receptions, 123 yards and a touchdown. His counterpart, Kupp, 6 receptions, 106 yards and 2 touchdowns. You take away that one big catch for the touchdown, he's not looking at that crazy of a game, but it doesn't matter because he got that crazy catch anyways. And then Kyren Williams, 15 attempts for 87 yards. This is one of the worst rushing offenses in the league, and he averaged 5.7 yards per carry. They were actually second worst in the league in yards per carry in the league before this game. So something's wrong there again with the run defense. And on top of that, I said one of the keys to success on Twitter, I said this before the game, was matching the Rams' pass rush and getting a pass rush on Stafford. Well, he was sacked 0 times and was barely pressured the whole game. So it was abysmal. It wasn't up to par, up to standard. They put up 28 points in just under 23 minutes. But you saw more promise out of Drake Maye, and what I've been saying the whole year is that is the most important thing this year, is seeing him develop. And you also saw development, I think, from a lot of people on the team, the younger players. Hopefully we can tack on to that development and get better next week when we play the Dolphins. And that's what we will be talking about when we get back from this commercial break. Stay tuned.
Malo is my French bulldog. He made my heart bigger when he came in my life. He never really liked his food. He wouldn't eat till like 10 o'clock at night. To me, it was saying, oh, I guess I don't want to starve. He was having skin breakouts, and putting the 2 and 2 together, what you put into your body is what you get out. I know that if I'm eating a bunch of processed food, I'm not going to feel good. So that kind of led me to Farmer's Dog. Immediately, his skin issues went away. I love what they're doing. It's already portioned out. He's eating whole foods. It's amazing.
On the College Football Dogs website, you'll find a main page that features some of our biggest and newest stories. Our conference pages for content related to your favorite team's conference. Our team store, where we have products that are available all year long, as well as gear available for a limited time only. Our podcast page, where you can see when one of the 12 plus College Football Dogs podcasts is streaming live on social media. Our subscription page, where you can join our Discord. If you're interested in becoming a contributor at College Football Dogs, email us at info@collegefootballdogs.com. If you enjoy any College Football Dogs content, we really do appreciate any donations you can make by visiting the donate page on our website or scanning the QR code here.
College Football Dogs, for the fans.
Welcome back to Paul Talks Patriots. Now, this Sunday we have the Dolphins for the second time this season, the first time ending in a 15-10 loss against a Dolphins team that was led by Tyler Huntley on offense. This was also the last game Jacoby Brissett started for the Patriots, but Huntley finished 18 for 31 with 194 passing yards. In his two other games that he started this year against the Titans and Colts, he had a combined stat line of 21 for 35 for 183 yards. So if you guys can put 2 and 2 together, that means he had more production in one game against us than he did in his two other games combined that he started this year. So I had a look. His 194 passing yards was the most he's had in a game since 2022. And on top of that, the Patriots gave up 193 rush yards. Absolutely terrible. Jalen Wright had his best game of the year. He rushed 13 times for 86 yards. That was his most rush yards all season and was tied for his most rush yards per carry for games when he's gotten 5 or more carries. So, Jalen Wright balled out. Raheem Mostert also balled out. Had one of his best games, if not his best game of the season. 19 carries for 80 rush yards. It's his most rush yards all season and the third most in yards per carry at 4.2. Well, yeah, that doesn't seem like a crazy number, but Raheem Mostert has not been having a good season. So to see that, it's bad. And then you had Devon Achane, who didn't play much. He only had 3 carries for 18 yards. I believe he got injured. But that's still 6 yards per carry. And that's the second most he's had this season. And this was when he was struggling because the teams were keying in on rush defenses while Tua was out. And Devon Achane wasn't really doing much for weeks. And he still managed to find success, even without Tua leading the offense. Well, now Tua Tagovailoa is back. And he's been playing really well. The Dolphins are 2 and 2 in their last 4 games, the games since he's returned. But Tua averaging 240 passing yards per game, and the offense is averaging 27.75 points per game. That is some crazy numbers, and it shows that, 240 passing yards is nothing light, but to see 27.75 points per game, that means the rush game is doing pretty well also. But their wide receivers haven't been as dominant as they used to be. Tyreek Hill in these 4 games since Tua has been back, 6 receptions for 72 yards. Really good. Not elite though. 4 receptions for 80 yards. Again, really good. Not former Tyreek numbers. Then 2 weeks ago, he had 3 catches for 16 yards, but did get into the end zone. And last week, he had 7 receptions for 61 yards and a touchdown. So still really good numbers, but it seems like Tyreek has passed his prime officially, and he's teetering on falling off. Jalen Waddle is having a down year this year. Lots of expectations for him. But seeing Tyreek dip in numbers and production means that defenses don't have to worry about him too much, and they can worry about Waddle more. So the past 4 weeks for him have been 4 catches for 45 yards. This is an interesting one. 2 catches for -4 yards, but he caught a touchdown. And then after that, 3 catches for 57 yards, and last week 2 catches for 37 yards. So not really getting the production that he did in previous years. A big letdown for Miami. And then you have Odell Beckham Jr. as your wide receiver 3, and the most yards he's had in a game is 17. So he's completely washed up. He's a non-factor, which sucks to see. As much of an electric player as he used to be, a fun player to watch, he's really just not even worth worrying about for defensive scheming at this point in his career. But who has stepped up for the Dolphins? Well, that's old friend of ours, Jonnu Smith. Smith last week had 6 receptions for 101 yards and 2 touchdowns. So one of his best games of his whole career. And that's probably been his best game this season, but he's been helping in the passing game for weeks now. So we'll see if that can continue. It is nerve-wracking for me knowing that Jelani Tavai has no idea what he's doing in pass coverage, and then Christian Ellison, Sione Takitaki aren't that much better at it either. So how did the Patriots perform in Week 5? Well, they did get in the backfield a decent amount. They had 5 tackles for losses and also had 3 sacks. But one of them was from Joshua Uche, who is obviously not on the team anymore, and one of the others coming from Jaquelin Roy, who was out last week with injury. Unsure if he will play this week, but there's more production loss that had a good game against the Dolphins in Week 5. We were also without Kyle Duggar and obviously Christian Barmore because of Duggar's injury and Barmore's deal with the blood clots. But it was our first week without Jabril Peppers as well. So our defense was figuring out the secondary. Covington was trying to switch players in and out the whole game to see what stuck, and that's could have contributed to some of the bigger production. So we'll have Duggar back, we'll have Barmore back, and we have weeks of experience without Peppers now, so Covington has a better grasp on how this defense works without Jabril Peppers. We're also replacing Raekwon McMillan with Sione Takitaki, which is an upgrade. McMillan just couldn't figure stuff out and was eventually released. Sione Takitaki's been decent, hasn't really been anything outstanding. That linebacker group, there's not really one person that sticks out from the rest of the bunch. They're kind of all the same in one, and that they have clear flaws in their game, and they have other aspects where they do contribute, but no one has really stuck out from the bunch. I'm interested to see if Sione Takitaki will finally get more reps. I've been waiting for it, and I don't know if he will, but I do think the defense will be better than Week 5, and a week when we only let up 15 points. The big thing is that hopefully Barmore, who played sparingly last week, will be out there for a couple more snaps at least, and can, 1, get pressure on Tua, and 2, stop the run game. We need to stop the run game. 193 yards in Week 5 is awful, and I think Barmore will help out big in that regard. So we'll see how that goes. And then on the offensive side of the ball, obviously we have Drake Maye starting instead of Jacoby Brissett this week, so hopefully we see more production out of the offense. I think that's inevitable considering we only put up 10 points in Week 5. Who had a good game for us in Week 5? Pop Douglas contributed to our offense with 6 catches for 59 yards, and I think he'll have an even better performance this week with Drake Maye leading the way. And got absolutely nothing from the rest of the receivers, basically matched Pop Douglas's performance. Did a little better. If you combine all of their numbers, it's 7 receptions for 94 yards compared to just Pop Douglas's 6 catches for 59 yards. So you need other receivers to step up. Hopefully Kendrick Bourne can repeat his performance from last week, and we can maybe see someone else, Kayshon Boutte, hopefully will contribute a little bit. And Jalen Polk, we know his deal. I'm still not going to give up on him, but I'm not getting my hopes up on him either. So we'll see how that goes. Also, it was our running back groups, one of their best games of the year, maybe second best behind that Cincinnati game. Ramondre Stevenson had 12 carries for 89 yards and a touchdown. The offensive line was blocking decently, but Ramondre managed to work around them and have a really good performance. And Antonio Gibson had a decent game for his limited carries. He had 6 of them for 52 yards. But on the offensive line, if you guys remember, this was the game Nick Leverett started at center. He would be released 2 weeks later, or a week later after not playing the following week. But Leverett could not figure out the position. He couldn't make out calls, really, and I think it was screwing with the whole offensive line. Now, with Ben Jones at center, we know Jones is no Pro Bowler, but he is an upgrade from Leverett. The rest of the line in Week 5 was the same as it is now, with Vidarian Lowe, followed by Michael Jordan, and then you had Leverett, and your right side of the line was Nwenu at guard and DeMontre Jacobs at tackle, so that will be the same. And they've stacked a couple weeks now playing together, so at least the cohesion should be better. They should see another week of better performance. The Dolphins had a good pass rush against us. They got in the backfield a little bit, but didn't do anything crazy. They had 2 sacks and 5 tackles for losses, but you can't really give them that much credit for it because it was poor play by Jacoby Brissett, and he moves like he has 10-pound weights attached to his ankles, so that contributed to the Dolphins getting in the backfield, along with poor coaching. If you guys remember, Alex Van Pelt had a terrible game of calling plays, and in the final 2 minutes, 1 minute and 43 seconds, more specifically, of that first half, we got the ball at our own 5-yard line, and what did he do? He handed the ball off to Ramondre Stevenson for 8 yards, which is really good. So, okay, we're planning on draining clock and heading to halftime. No, then he follows it up with 2 incomplete passes by Jacoby Brissett, and we are punting the ball away with 55 seconds left in the half. So he screwed up there. Luckily, I don't think the Dolphins managed to execute after that in those final 55 seconds, but that also is just one example, big example of that in that game of Alex Van Pelt's poor play calling. So I think his play calling has been better the last 2 weeks, and hopefully we can see that again. Some improvement from him, some improvement from our overall coaching staff. Like I said, it wasn't that good of a week for DeMarcus Covington and Gerard Mayo either. So hopefully they can repeat their performance of only letting up 15 points. It will be tough now with Tua at quarterback. I'm expecting them to score more points, but I have more confidence this week after seeing their performance last week against the Rams. It's not going to get much worse than that, if at all, I don't think. But the Dolphins also, I want to mention, will be, maybe will be without Kendall Fuller at cornerback, their second boundary cornerback next to Jalen Ramsey. He was out last week with a concussion, so we'll see if he is back in action on Sunday. Depends how lenient they are with him playing. If he can get through the concussion protocol, I think he'll probably play. Usually it takes about 2 weeks for players to get back from the concussion protocol. And I don't think his concussion was awful. So we'll see. But I have a final prediction, and this fully depends on if we can stop the rush. I do think the defense will take a big step forward, but I'm not going to bank on our coaching staff having an elite game plan, because when have we seen that this year? I do inevitably think the Dolphins will end up winning by a score of 27-23, and we'll see some good production from the offense, and then we'll complain about Alex Van Pelt, and we'll complain about the defense in the run game probably, but who knows? This is a winnable game. If we can keep Tua and the rest of the Dolphins offense in the grasp, a little bit at least, and Drake May can take another step forward, we'll see. But inevitably, I think we end up with another loss, 27-23. Guys, give me a subscription, a like, a comment. Let me know what you think about the Dolphins game. And follow me on Instagram at Paul Talks Patriots and on Twitter, X at Paul Talks Pats. Until next time, I will see you soon next Tuesday. Peace, y'all.